Mates at the Gate exists to help rural families.
So what started it all?
Yeah, it's a tough gig being a farmer because there's such loners. I mean, partner, of course, and kids. You take phone calls, you make phone calls, you do the things that you can do to help and just keep them on the planet. Not that they probably necessarily wouldn't be on the planet sometimes, but you just try and make the journey a little bit easier.
And in today's episode, we will be covering sensitive topics that may be triggering. So if you or someone you know of is in need of support, then please call Lifeline on 13 11 14. That number again is 13 11 14. Hey guys, welcome back again to the RoundTable. In today's episode, I was so honored to be joined by Mick Martin, who shared insights about the local charity that he started, known as Mates at the Gate. But look, I'd love for you all to stick around to hear more about what he shared with me, so that you can learn more about how you could possibly get involved in supporting a farmer that could be struggling, or just someone in general that needs a bit of a helping hand. So, you know the drill, let's get to it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another brand new episode of the Roundtable. Today I'm back in Hervey Bay at my special guest joining me today's property, which I'm so honored to be at. But before we kick off, as always, the Roundtable symbolizes a safe space where stories are shared, voices heard, and lessons learnt. So grab your favorite coffee, tea, or just even a glass of water, pull up a seat, and join me on the journey, because every story shared here matters. Mick, welcome to the Roundtable.
I'm honoured. Thank you very much.
And thank you for allowing me to host the show here at your beautiful property, and also love the backdrop. For everyone that's wondering if that's a real guitar, well, I'll just let you decide. So before we kind of dive into it all, just for our listeners and the viewers, if you don't mind, do you mind just sharing a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, by all means. I was brought up on a farm in country Victoria, a mixed farm. Had 10 siblings. So John, Ann, Mike, Bill, Paul, Pete, Mary, Greg, Trish, and Brendy, sorry. And it was a lot of fun growing up on the farm with those siblings. So I left there, and I had two uncles that were shearers, and my grandfather was a shearer. So I decided I wanted to be like them. I idolised them. So at 16, my parents relented and let me go to West Australia, where I worked on farmers' big stations over there and took up chasing the shearers for a while. Then I came back home to country Victoria, and my brother convinced me to come up to Queensland. Very brief history. I was 18. Met a lady, married just after my 19th birthday, had 3 wonderful kids. We stayed married for 47 years. And then some stuff happened along the journey. I got a couple of cancers, brain tumour and stomach cancer, so got through those and really made my mind up that I need to be doing something different, something significant, hopefully leave a bit of a legacy, leave the world a bit better than what I found it, which sounds a bit prosaic and a bit highfalutin, but really it's just the way I was brought up. So I became a crash rescue firey along the journey, did that for over a decade, ran businesses like most fireys, you do something else. I had tyre and mechanical shops, had businesses all through northern Brisbane. Started going up to Japan in that business, and more recently got a little bit too sick to keep doing the work that I was doing, so sold the business and started up Mates at the Gate, which is the charity we're probably going to talk most about today.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so just for those that are hearing Mates at the Gate for the first time, how can you describe what it is that you do?
Well, a few less words than the original intro, but Mates at the Gate exists to help rural families. That's our parameter. There's a lot underneath that, of course, but that's the main thing that we do.
So what started it all?
I was doing, I'm a bush poet, performing bush poet, and I was out at Cunnamulla, and it was the 8th year of drought eighth year of a 10-year, nobody knew how long it was going to go. And I met some farmers, and they were just busted ass. Like they looked like hollow people. And got talking to them, and went back on a fishing trip with a bunch of mates, and I told them about it. And I said, hey, how about we bring one of these farmers out next time when we come and do another trip? And everybody agreed, yeah, we can afford that. And then one of the guys had a couple more sherbets, and he said, he's going to feel a bit special if it's only one farmer. So how about we bring two? So yeah, okay. And then I went home, told my then wife that what we were doing. She said, well, of course you were doing something for the ladies too. I said, oh yeah, of course. So anyway, long story short, we ended up with we took 14 people away, including helpers. And that was a wonderful experience, and that opened up a whole new world, because we realised that they didn't know anybody on the coast cared about them. Then we thought, oh, okay, well, we can help. So we did a couple of farm visits, and we found that kitchens had been flooded twice, and roofs were leaking, and farmhouses needed some real significant work. And a really good bunch of young tradies here from Hervey Bay, and also some from northern Brisbane. We all got our shit together and went to our suppliers, and we got a new kitchen that was coming out of a high-rise building. In fact, we ended up with several, but when they were revamping kitchens from new things, we only give new, we were able to take those kitchens out. So we've done a stack of kitchens now and put them into the farmhouses, and you get all these tradies that are volunteering. You can't even get a tradie to come and do a quote, but they'll take a week out of their life to come and help somebody who they don't know. So I'm so proud to be part of that.
So from fishing trips to renos on the property, what are other areas that some of the farmers were struggling with? Yeah,
it's a tough gig being a farmer, because they're such loners. I mean, partner, of course, and kids. You take phone calls, you make phone calls, you do the things that you can do to help and just keep them on the planet. Not that they probably necessarily wouldn't be on the planet sometimes, but you just try and make the journey a little bit easier. And that's a little bit of what we do. We do know that we've had some farmers that have been involved that were suicidal, and that's not a dirty word. We're allowed to use it. So suicide is a big issue for farmers, and the thing that we're probably a little bit different than most, I don't even like the word charity, but most helpers, is we're a registered charity, so we're tax deductible. People can donate if you're doing your will and you want to leave something for mates at the gate to help the farmers. That's one thing you can do. But the other thing about it is nobody gets paid, so it's all voluntary. So we help out with school fees sometimes. We do Christmas runs that are really good for the soul. I can tell you, you load up the trailer with 2 tons of donated goods and take them out there, and the good old wines, Christmas cakes and all that sort of stuff, and just rock up to somebody's place and they don't even know who you are. And it's always a good experience. I think I strayed from the track there, but what else do we do? We do the retreats. So we take the ladies away for a retreat. That's what I started to say before. Yeah, the suicide rate for rural women, rural farming women particularly, but rural women generally, is higher than urban women. And I really thought it would be different. I thought urban women, with the pressures of drugs and all sorts of stuff, social stuff locally, I thought I wouldn't be that way. But obviously the farming women are the first ones up, getting everything organised with breakfasts, and they're the last ones up doing the books, and they know when things are going pear-shaped before the husband, because the husband's solution is just work harder and it'll be better, but it doesn't always work.
Just wanted to circle back with the suicide. What are some of the steps or methods that you guys try to implement in helping out some of the farmers through that period?
Yeah, that's a good question, because it's critical. We can talk about it, but unless you actually make some sort of an intervention and some recommendation, it doesn't work much. So one of our board or directors is a fellow called Rob. I won't use his last name, but he's a padre, been to Afghanistan a couple of times. He lives and works out in the bush a lot of the time, and he's just the right man. I've heard him talking to a family in-law about a bloke who was going up the paddock with a rifle, and it was that critical. And this fella wanted advice and help, and I've done mental health first aid courses and done mates in construction, and they're good. They're all parts of the jigsaw. But to listen to this guy talk to somebody who was really in dire straits was so amazing. So, yeah, you can ring mates at the gate. That's fine. We'll listen, of course, and that's a big part of it, just being an ear. I often get phone calls in the early hours of the morning, and that's okay. But to hear the way this fellow handled it, it was enlightening. And he was a Lifeline qualified counsellor. So Lifeline's still one of the better ones to go to.
Yeah, cool. That's amazing too, because I've also had a few members who were from Lifeline that shared their story as well. With, some of the tough conversations that they have with people dealing with those times of, mental struggles and challenges.
Yeah, when you can't see a way out and things just seem so black and so dark, just pick the phone up. Just pick the bloody phone up, because sometimes it's as simple as that, and there's somebody on the other end of the phone that actually will help. There's a lot of help out there, and one of the things that we do when we give, when we're sitting down, whether it's on the phone or not, we'll test the phone numbers that we share. So there's a million of them, but it's no good if you can imagine yourself if you're in a hole and you think, oh shit, well I'll try and ring that number, but it rings out or it's disconnected or no response. Well, that's no bloody good to anybody. So we test those numbers and we make sure, and we do it while the other person's on the line. So it smooths the waters a little bit. It's not foreign for them to speak to a person on that line. Just normalises it a bit, and it also just opens the door a little bit to the future, because that's what's needed. It's tough when nobody really knows what a person's journey has been to find themselves in that hole. And there are some certain signs, sometimes, not all the time, but some signs that people can be aware of. So when we're doing the retreats for the ladies, we're now doing a mini mental health first aid course with the Red Cross, so that they then come away empowered and knowledgeable about what to look out for with specifically things like suicide.
With the retreats, so for the women, what does that actually entail? Just in case there's a woman out there that's probably going through something. And
yeah, generally it's very lighthearted. So we partner them up so that they've got a buddy. And just a funny thing, on the last evening of the retreat, they have to buy the clothes that their buddy has to wear. So we take them to the second-hand shops, and it's just hilarious to see these outfits coming out, and you're really amazed how inventive and creative they can be. There's a lot of sitting around talking. There's yoga, there's massage. We'll go and visit all sorts of things. If it's whale season, we'll go whale watching, which is a wonderful experience. We've got there's not very many blokes involved in the ladies thing. So the lady who we've got running it is Teresa, and she's a singer, a wonderful human being, and she wrote the book on doing these sorts of things for the government. So she literally wrote the book, and she's very experienced and she knows what she's doing. So we get some counsellors there as well. But it's designed to be a fun experience and an uplifting experience, and that group then will stay locked in together in a WhatsApp group so that they can constantly talk to each other, and women are very good at that, much better at it than blokes.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And I suppose because they're more open.
Don't know what it is, I don't know, but they just are better at it. Yeah.
What about the blokes? Do they get a retreat too, or is it just the fishing trips? And
yeah, no, the blokes get a retreat too. The trips to Fraser Island, or Gari as people call it now, we haven't done one of those for a while. September, I think, last year was the last one we did. And they're a little bit more difficult because people's goodwill is great. Like the first time we went over there, old Donnie at the bar at at Orchard Beach. He said, "Are these those bloody farmers you're telling me about, Mick?" I said, "Yes, mate, they are." He said, "Oh, you're out of luck." I said, "Oh, shit, what's wrong, mate?" He said, "Bloody till's broken, but there's plenty of beer, boys. Drink up. You won't be buying a beer while you..." And that kind of was the goodwill that was available. Now, you would never expect that every time he's sold it anyway, but the locals up there on the island are fantastic, but you just don't want to abuse that goodwill either. There's limits. So now we'll go to Susan River out the road, for example, and we'll go and do a tour of Hine Timber, or we go to the explosives factory, or do all sorts of interesting stuff. But there's a lot of sitting around talking, and I will admit there's a little bit of drinking as well. But around the big fire, we do a bit of bush poetry, might even do a bit of singing, but not very often the singing. But just a lot of yakking and a lot of camaraderie, I guess, making mates, and everybody stays together afterwards in that little nucleus of a group in a WhatsApp, which is a computer program thing. And we're all the time looking for people to ring us up and say, "Hey, Bill, my mate, he could really do with a break." Because the hardest part of it is getting farmers to accept charity. Well, it's not charity. It's just paying it forward, or we're paying it back for all the hard work that you've done. Because farmers, like if you looked at their hourly rate for the number of hours they do, they don't get paid much at all.
Why do you think that is, that farmers find it hard to reach out for help?
Yeah, it's a generational thing, I think, Tar. So they're bred to be independent. They're bred to be strong. They're self-judged on their strength, on their inner strength. But as far as showing their emotions or letting any of that out, that's a very rare occasion. But I'll give you an example. One of them that we did with a group called Bogmate, Are You Bogmate? One of the guys came out after his morning, it wasn't Pilates, I think it was yoga. Yeah, it was yoga. And he said to one of the group, he said, "Hey, mate, are you supposed to cry in that?" So it was just a matter of he opened up, something just scratched his emotions, and and that's all right. Everybody can be as tough or as soft or as caring and sharing or as whatever they want. They can put the shields up or they can let them down. But it's just a matter of making mates and staying mates.
So throughout the whole journey of what you've experienced, has there been a family that's kind of stood out for you in their own recovery or the process of everything they've had to deal with?
Yeah, we've got to be careful of the anonymity, I guess, because you are very careful to look after people's privacy.
Yeah.
But yeah, there is a family, just wonderful, beautiful people. They got a couple of kids, and they worked so bloody hard on a very, very remote property. And they've got battles with the government putting too much of an impost on them with regulations and expectations. And when we first started going out, we realised that the government rely on sending emails and all that sort of stuff, and they didn't have any internet to speak of. They'd get halfway through doing a transaction, online banking, and the internet would drop out. So it wasn't like what we know the internet to be in town. So one of our benefactors started getting them set up with, I always mix the name. It's not Skylink, it's the...
Elon Musk?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that changes the whole perspective on that. And a lot of these farmers and farmers' wives are very, very well educated. So one of the expectations that the government have is that they can just send an email and it can be an 8-page document, and they think that the farmer can just download that and it'll be a piece of cake and he can do the online filling in, all that sort of stuff. Well, that just wasn't happening because they couldn't even download one page. It might take a day and the internet would drop out. That seems unbelievable in this world, but anyway, with Starlink, they're back on track now, and there's a lot that still need it. So I'm not saying we're going to shout everybody a Starlink thing, but we'll have a look at it on its merits and see. The other thing too, Tar, we're not just looking at helping people that are financially struggling. A lot of people can be financially okay, but they still need a hand, and they still need somebody to talk to. They still need you can't get tradies out the bush for a start. So we can help with that as well. But our main focus is on people that need the help and need it financially. So the next step for us is, I just got back from West Australia, and there's a couple of farmers over there, one of whom is selling his property at the end of the year, and he's putting his hand up to start and run Mates at the Gate in West Australia. So if you're in West Australia and you're listening, stand by and get in touch with us. So that's a really easy thing to do. So admin@matesatthegate.org. It's or you can ring me on 042 15 14 555, 042 15 14 555, or you can just go on the website Mates at the Gate, www.matesatthegate.org, and you'll see a little bit about what we do. You can ask for a hand, you can make a donation, you can just get in touch for a chat, you can volunteer to do some plumbing, electrical, painting, labouring, you name it. So I'm not saying we're all encompassing, but there's a lot of things that we can do, and we're all the time looking for helpers.
Hey, thanks again for tuning back in. And if you're finding value in today's show, then please don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and share with someone you know who could possibly benefit from what you've heard today. So, without further ado, let's get back to it.
I'll definitely add those details too in the description,
Thanks for that.
so people can kind of track down how to get in contact with you guys.
Yeah.
So the other thing is, as you mentioned, Starlink being a huge contributing factor to helping communication, I suppose, is probably one of the biggest things where, the rural areas of where farmers just, like you said, can't download a document because it takes 24 hours, 48 hours. Do you guys do like Zoom calls to interact with them, or is it just mainly a phone call?
We haven't done that in the past. We haven't. We do lots of phone calls.
Okay.
Messenger's a good one. Usually it's later in the evening, so after 7:30, 8 o'clock, after everybody's sorted out for the night, and just have a chat.
Yeah.
Just ringing up to check on you, make sure you're all right, that sort of stuff. So that's an ongoing thing. Funny enough, in the phone calls, you ring up and the wife will always, without any doubt, she'll pass it over to the husband, because I'm a bloke. If it was the lady that was running the course, running the retreat, that'd be okay. She'd talk to a lady. So we've got to promote that a little bit more.
Nice. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense too.
Yeah.
So with the Mates at the Gate, where would you like to see things happening in the future?
Good question. I think it's a slow build. So you can go out there and try and set the world on fire and do all that sort of stuff, but you can end up unsettling things. So we're going slowly. It's taken 6 years, I guess, to get to where we are now. And thanks to a good mate, Stephen, I don't think he'll mind me saying his name, Stephen Pronk, he's offered 10 hours of his admin lady per week to get the charity set up. So we're now a registered charity, which is a huge deal. It's such a hard thing to do. So that's what we are now. And that means when we run fundraisers, like we just did a fundraiser out at a little place called Bell, and we raised $5,000 over that 2-day period, with selling books and donations and raffles and that sort of stuff. And then a lady came up to me at the end of it and she said, I'd like to help. I said, great, thank you. She said, my husband's got an illness. We've got 3 farms. I'd like to donate $5,000. So that gets us just that step closer to running the men's retreat and the ladies' retreat. So I haven't even got firm dates for the next 2 of those, but as soon as we've just got a few things that we're sorting out, finances being one of them, and bookings being another.
Is there a specific target with the finances to kind of help out with these retreats, or? Yeah,
it takes about 40,000 to run 2 retreats. Yeah, so at the moment we're very close to 30. I'm almost game enough to start to book sometimes, but at the very least we can book 1. Yeah, and I don't like to scrimp and save too much, because you want to give everybody a good experience. So I won't go into all the details of that. We give them clothing and paraphernalia and that sort of thing. But and the first one was great because everybody was so on side for the farmers. We couldn't spend the money that we'd raised. So, we were able to send the farmers home with a little bit in their pocket, which was great.
So I guess with what's been happening with everything that you guys have done, for a farmer that's probably listening or watching this right now, what would you like to say to him?
Don't give up. Don't give up. Don't give up on yourself or your family or your farm. Things look dark. Sometimes things look really dark. In fact, they look black. Don't give up. It's a temporary solution. It's a permanent solution to a temporary problem, I think is the term they use. We can help. We can help in so many ways, and farmers don't even realise how highly skilled they are. And, it sometimes has been the fact that, okay, you might have to leave the farm for a while and re-establish, sell, whatever, but life goes on and the family needs you, and it's critically important. Don't give up. That's the number one thing. Give us a call. Number two, give us a call. Let us in. Let us see what we can do to help. Because I think you might be surprised. There's a lot of things we can do to help. Even just coming out and saying good day for a while, that's not a bad thing. Used to have the old Dalgety man used to be the travelling salesman for Dalgety's, and he'd drop in. Unfortunately, these days with drink driving laws, you can't do what we used to do, and that was go to the pub on a Friday night and have a skinful with your mates and build that mateship up. Well, that's kind of gone by the board a little bit. So these retreats are really good ways of just reconnecting with your mates. There might be only 100 k's down the road, and that's like 2 properties, but you haven't met him. You've heard of him, but you haven't met him or her. So, by doing the retreats, putting your hand up and coming to the retreats, you'll be helping them and they'll be helping you. It's just what mates do.
Is it also female farmers as well that are going through a similar struggle?
Yeah, that's a good question. And yes, it is. It's female farmers and solo farmers. There's a lot of solo farmers out there. And it's everybody, all encompassing. And it doesn't just have to be farmers. You can be somebody that works on a farm, or there's a lot of people do share farming. A lot of people do feedlots. A lot of people work in the big piggeries out there. There's a lot of big piggeries out around Moonee and those places. We don't care. If you're involved in a rural activity, don't worry about it. Put your hand up. If you're a truck driver and you're working in a rural area all the time, put your hand up. It's probably your turn. You've probably done decades and decades of not putting your hand up for a hand, and maybe it's your turn. So do that.
If there's maybe 1 or 2 things we haven't covered, now's an opportunity for you to speak up.
Okay. Well, you're probably wondering about our little dingo mate here. He's our mascot, Derek the dingo. And in the first intake, the first group, everybody got a dingo, and him and his brothers have been everywhere. You'll get photographs of them on a D9 dozer or on a plough, or in Paris beside the Leaning Tower of Pisa, or all over the place. So Derek's our mascot, and underneath Derek is this is something that everybody can help with. It's a book that I wrote. It's mostly bush poetry, but there's a lot of funny stories about us growing up on the farm with my brothers and I, and the antics that we used to get up to. And the last 3 pages are about the charity. The cartoons were done by a dear friend, local friend, Bill Byrne, and it's worth buying, and we can mail it. So it's $25 the book, $29.95, $30 mailed. And every cent of that goes to Mates of the Gate. So a funny story about this. I wrote this, and it was going to be Mick Martin's income for a while, because I'm on the pension. And the first time I went to sell one, the lady said to me, so is this going to the charity? Is this going to Mates of the Gate? And I thought, oh, hell, I guess it is. So the decision was made right then and there that every cent of the profits has to go to Mates of the Gate. So there you go.
Wow. Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah. So I'll write another book. So that's that. What was I going to say? There's been a bunch of great volunteers all the way through and some really sensational supporters. We haven't gone after government grants yet, but we will. And there's some commercial grants as well that we want to go after. But that takes a lot of time and effort, and you've got to jump through a lot of hoops. So we need to get our act together and get onto that. I'm going up to the Northern Territory in a fortnight. Mates at the Gate's always in the front of my brain, so I'll be finding out whether there are people up there. Got a specific guy in mind. He's a country music singer, and I want to go and have a sit down with him because he's a really good guy. I won't say his name yet, but watch this space, because if he comes on board, it'll be brilliant in the Territory. So as I say, just a slow build.
Yeah, pretty amazing. And look, you mentioned earlier with some of the songwriting you've been doing too, so that was pretty amazing what you shared just today. What was the name of that song? And
Oh, okay. So the song was a derivative of Mates at the Gate, and if you go onto Spotify, you can find it. It's called The Aussie Way, and it's Ashley Cook as a singer. It's had some significant awards just recently in Tamworth. We didn't get a golden guitar, but that's okay. So we're writing some more songs, doing a lot of that stuff. Since then, I've got very motivated in the songwriting, and I've got the time to do that now, so it's great. Because I'm retired, this is what I do, and I love doing it.
well, is there one or two pieces of advice you could share with us today for someone that's probably wondering what the next steps are?
Well, we might, if it's all right with you, you might play the other song that I just wrote somewhere in the podcast. It might be okay.
I'll
about what mates do. So reach out to your mates. That's probably number one. Take care of your own brain space as well. If you're in a situation where you feel like you're being knocked about mentally, sometimes you don't have to put up with it. Sometimes there are other options, and I would urge anybody, male or female, if you feel like you're in a shitty spot, get on the phone, give us a call. There are some, the answer might just be on the end of that phone call with maybe even just one phone call, but we'll make sure we don't leave you on your own. So that's, look after yourself, check on your mates, and be courageous when it comes to making decisions about your self-preservation and self-worth, because I guess we go along to get along a lot of the time. Sometimes it's not the best solution. Yeah.
And for everyone to follow, if you don't mind repeating how they can get a hold of you and where
sure.
they can find you online.
Yeah, so I'll give you my phone number, 042 15 14 555. And if you want me to come and speak, I'll come and do guest spots at Rotary clubs, Lions clubs, you name it. And I can combine a bit of humour. I do comedic stuff, so we can. If it was one of those clubs and you want a guest speaker, well, I'll give you a laugh, but I'll also give you a story as well. And the admin at matesatthegate.org is another way to get in touch. And if you want a book, you can go to admin@matesatthegate.org. Really good for a laugh. There's some serious stuff in there, but it's mostly about having a good time and a bit of fun. Incidentally, the cover is my brother Peter Martin is a full-time commercial artist, and so this is a photograph of, a painting that he did of our grandparents watching the grandfather go off. He was a shearer, travelled all through Australia with his push bike and his swag. And this is the family watching him go off, so there's a little bit about the background story of that as well on there. So he's a very good artist. It's probably about me, I think. Sure, I've forgotten something. I always do.
Well, look, I appreciate everything you've shared with me today, and also for our listeners and the viewers, they'll get to learn a little bit more about what Mates at the Gate represents and how they can get involved. So before we wrap up, do you mind just sharing one of your favourite poems with us?
Yeah, I'd love to. This poem is called Mates at the Gate. And, pardon me, it's based on what I know about the way rural people look after themselves. And sometimes I get a cracky voice towards the end because it's quite emotional, but I won't do that this time. I'll be tough. The bank had loaned him thousands and he signed as farmers do to keep from going under, but the interest would accrue. Those years of drought had pushed him to the edge of dark despair. His family loved this station, but the bankers would not care. See, some bankers are like dingoes waiting on that final fall. For blokes like Artie Fleming, there would be no curtain call. More years of drought behind him. Surely rain was overdue. He'd have to feed his breeders. There was nothing else to do. The tanks were all but empty and the dams were bowls of dust. The stock were dropping daily and that loan, well, it did bust. The banker came in person, even feigned his sad remorse, left Artie with the papers saying things had run their course. No words could Artie mutter. He was crushed and cold inside. To tell his wife and children was beyond this farmer's pride. The grapevine did its duty as the news spread far and wide. His neighbours felt his anguish and collectively they sighed. He'd have to buy a dwelling in the town not far away. That banker left quite quickly, thinking wisest not to stay. But neighbours helped their mate out as the chattels would be sold. They wouldn't leave him out there, wouldn't leave him in the cold. It started with a bore pump as the bids went up in tens, but soon they were in hundreds as he watched his farming friends. See, every single item that the auction sold from then was just a masked donation from these farming wives and men. When Bill bid $50,000 for his tractor near the gate, he wished he'd helped him early. Maybe now was just too late. When Mrs. Faring Fosworth bought his clapped-out Falcon ute, the auctioneer fell silent. Even Artie stood there, mute. It only took the morning and the lots were spoken for. 300K, said Chalky. Bill said, make it 50 more. With tears of silent thank yous, Artie held his darling wife and took the gift from neighbours then to start a brand new life. But Mrs. Faring Fosworth, in her subtle, quiet way, gave Artie one more gesture. If your family choose to stay, I'll buy this family station and I'll need a leading hand. Don't move into the city. You belong here on this land. And when at last I leave here, you can keep the title too. We'd like to help our mates out because I've seen you do it too. And not one auction item left. His neighbours thought that fair, so that's the way it happened. Artie stayed and he's still there. Through drought or fire or flooding, we will always find a way because it's part of being Aussie. It's our nation's DNA.
Okay, just before we finally wrap up, there's a new segment that I've kind of added to the show, which is I'll have my guest write out a question and leave it for my next guest. So I've got a question here for you, Mick.
It's a bit like a time bomb, isn't it? It's got to wait for it.
Okay, so there's no pressure. What my guest left, and the question is, how would you like to be remembered?
That is a tough question. I've not really focused too much on the way other people think about me, but I guess I would like people to remember me as a fair-minded person and motivated to make the world a better place. That sounds a bit like, a bit airy-fairy, but I actually do want to do that. I think that's probably the way I'd like to be remembered. I probably like to be remembered as a good dad. But just keep. I just think you got a role to play in life, and sometimes you can step up to the plate, and other times you got to step around it. The times you step up to the plate, I think you're duty bound to make the world a better place. And I guess if somebody remembered me when I was gone as that person, well, that'd be okay. But if I end up in the ground and nobody comes and visits the headstone, I don't really care about that either, because I guess I'm at peace with what I do.
Thank you for sharing that.
My pleasure. And thanks for the interview. See ya.
Mick, thanks for joining me at the round table, mate.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.